Hi, welcome to ADHD-friendly. I am Patty. I am an ADHD coach, and my passion is finding ways to tilt the playing field so my brain is in its element and able to thrive with my ADHD. And I'm here to support you to do this, to do the same. I'm stumbling over my words. If you want to find out more about my offerings and services, check out my website, ADHD-friendly.com, and all about my membership community, where everything we do is about helping you thrive. This week, I am going to be celebrating my new raised garden beds. Did you see them when you came in?
They're
So
nice.
nice. I've got pictures. So if you're listening to this, check out the YouTube channel ADHD Friendly because they are a sight to behold.
Yeah.
I'm also going to update my spending this week. There was some with the veggies and the plants and all that. And then I'm going to share a tip. It's all about the membership. So I want to highlight what's coming up in June because it's
Summer.
literally just a couple of days
Yeah.
away. And my product of the week is another Bath and Body Works product, but I'm going to share how to make it really friendly. And then because it ties in with my topic this week, which is dollars and dopamine, I'm going to share some tips to manage ADHD friendly, your money ADHD friendly ways. Plus, of course, I'll highlight my book for the week. So let's jump in and make our day a little more ADHD friendly. So I'm going to kick it off. I have so much energy for this because I don't like the heat, but man, something I've gotten into since I've lived here in Chicago is leaning into the spring and milder summer temperatures.
Yeah.
We still get some hot ones here that I don't appreciate, but I'm trying to remind myself they're not constant like they were in North Carolina. So I asked my husband, I didn't share the raised beds, did I? This is like my other celebration.
Did you make those?
Told him.
I thought so.
Yeah, I told him what I wanted. It took him a weekend. He's back in the workshop for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Remember, he broke his arm last year. Like he's had a couple of
Injuries.
Yep. So he is back in the workshop. I gave him the measurements of what I wanted, and he went on Etsy and found a pattern and ordered it. Or is it called a pattern?
Yeah,
For woodworking? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. So
or a blueprint?
Maybe a little more techy. I just don't think he'd appreciate pattern, although he does knit, so he might not mind at all. So those are my lovely raised beds, and I'm going to highlight. Check out my nails; they look horrific. I am on, 3+ weeks, but I decided intentionally not to have them done because these are now my. I'm very proud of my garden nails. They got ripped to shreds this weekend.
They're as well, like
that's true. That's true. But they do look horrendous. Like I had so they're just gross. All right. So that was the before. And then this weekend I got the beds and planted them. So these are all of my cucumbers. I got a little cucumber picture here. I couldn't find my pepper picture.
Oh.
Peter Piper pecked. I don't know why that suddenly pecked in my head. These are my peppers, and then I have tomatoes in little individual plots on the ground off to the side of these, but I designated one for each veggie so I could really dial in on how are they doing. I got a couple of different varieties of each of the peppers and the cucumbers.
They look so good.
Don't they? I'm so happy about
you
this.
Just go out there and water them.
Yeah, so far so good. I got my little watering can underneath. You can see the little black watering can under there. So excited. I'm hoping for my 3rd year in a row of producing edible veggies.
Yes.
Because these right? These guys cost me some bucks. Okay. So what I spent this week was really tied into flowers, the vegetable plants, and the dirt.
Yeah.
So I spent $250, which was over my goal. My goal was I was shooting for 150. Again, with no real knowledge of how I was going to I tried to write out like how many plants I needed, how many flowers for each of the pots outside. And it's like a mystery because I really can't figure it out.
That's a lot of mental math. It
was really hard in the moment because I'm putting in like these little 6 packs or this much, this 4-pack is this much, this 2-pack is this much, this 4-inch single plant is this much. And I was like, literally like trying to keep up with it all. And I even had my son with me who's really good at math.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, remember, because it was one of those carts that there's 2 levels because it was a garden center.
Yeah.
And I was like, the top is $70. Remember that the top is 70. And then I would like, oh, and then like, I'm going to check out. She's like, well, can I move your plants around and make like flats? It'll save you some money. I'm like, you do whatever. Because I realized quickly on, I had pictures of the plants I wanted. I had a list of the plants I wanted. I got completely overwhelmed trying to, and even when I got home and I'm planting, I'm like, didn't I get a strawberry plant? Didn't I get, like, I was like literally looking, I thought you talked me into getting a green bean plant that we were going to get a trellis to, no.
Like,
and so I didn't even get some of the things I thought I was going to get. And then I bought too many of the things. It was way too much, but did the best I could. And I kept everything and just figured out where to plant it.
Yeah.
So I ended up going $50 over my max. I had a 150 goal, 200 max. I spent 250.
Okay.
But I did not buy anything I didn't need. I even planted my little office planter here. And I'm just really, really hoping that they produce some vegetables because that's a lot of money for some veg. Although I have to say the flowers and all of that make me very happy throughout the year. So I got everything planted and that was very motivating. I planted everything because I spent, to me, that's a lot of money to spend on something.
You got to get that.
I have to really focus on, and I haven't had a lot of, except for the last 2 years, I haven't had a ton of success with. So it was very motivating to get them in the ground. So at least I have a chance of them coming up and growing something. So
what was nice, the patch.
It was beautiful. I did get sunburn, even though I put sunblock on. Apparently I missed a little patch on each of the shoulder. Yep. Because it was kind of warm the day I planted them. But that's my celebration. And I will of course be updating on that as we go through the summer to share how it's going, how I'm doing with keeping up with the watering and all that, because that takes some effort and some structure, but I'm very motivated right now. It's incredibly sparkly. All right, on to my product of the week. So I shared a couple of weeks ago my Bath and Body Works candle in the coconut pineapple.
The pina colada.
Pina colada. Thank you. Oh gosh, I love that smell.
You have it on right now. I could smell it.
I do. And I forgot to put it out. I didn't usually put it on for like 20 minutes. So my son, sweet boy that he is, brought me the hand soap, which was very timely because I was already planning on highlighting that this is one of my favorite hacks. So this ties in with my topic about, saving money, dollars and dopamine. This is $7.95 regularly. I never, ever, ever buy these full price.
Right.
But here's my favorite little hack. And I'm sure like a lot of you listen to this and be like, okay, Patty, that's like, everybody does that. But maybe if you don't know, I want to let you know that this is my favorite thing. So do you remember something called Pampered Chef?
Yes.
Did you ever buy Pampered Chef?
Yeah.
I don't think they're still a thing.
I think so either, but I definitely remember it being a huge.
Well, they had like a foaming hand soap pump that you could buy. Nothing came in it. You just bought it and you added your own soap and water. And I remember thinking, well, I buy hand soap that foams. Why can't I isn't it the same?
Right.
Why wouldn't I just reuse that? And so I started buying, because I've told you I'm very sensitive to scents. So I started buying hand soap in the scent that I like. And I just add it to the foamer.
Oh, nice.
To get what I want from it so I can reuse it. So what I do is when these go on sale, they typically go on sale for like 5 for $25 or something like that. I buy, if I need new foamers, I'll buy 1 or 2 new foamers because they do get a little like grubby and old looking and whatever. And I just want something fresh. Yeah. And then I'll buy like 1 or 2 of the just hand soap. Yeah. I typically will pair them with the same scent. So I'll get a foaming of like the pina colada and a hand soap of the pina colada. But essentially I don't care because I'll wash it out and I don't care if the name of the soap matches what I'm refilling it with. This is not an issue for me. I understand people come to my house and they're like, oh, pina colada, and it's not pina colada. I get that, but I'm willing to tolerate that to save money. So what I do is I use up the foam. And when this is empty, I first refill it with water to about, see this line right here on the back? Yeah. I fill it to about here with water. Okay. And then I just unscrew. It's easier for me just to pour it in. Then I can pump it, but I can unscrew it.
Pouring it.
And I just fill it, until when I put the foamer top back in, I don't want it to overflow. And the reason I put the water in first is because if you put the soap in first and then you try to add water, even if it's really, really low force, it's coming out slowly, it's still going to foam up and fill up your bottle. So if you add the water first and then just, that literally like 15% soap to the 85% water. And then you just shake that guy up.
And then you got your foamy soap.
And you've got a full foaming soap and it works. I have never yet, I think I've maybe 1 or 2 times had one where the pump stopped working because we've used it so long.
Sure.
But you don't need to do anything fancy. And you could just get any kind. I've had this work with even Dove hand soap, whatever, any foamer will allow you to refill it. They just don't want you to know that you can refill it. So this is one way that I have found, because you'll notice I gravitate towards the citrus and the fruit scents because I can't do the floral. And that's one way I can have a fun hand scent, and that pulls me into washing my hands because it leaves me with the scent that I love, instead of washing my hands oh, now I got that soapy smell on my hands.
Right.
So that's my product of the week, is just using a more expensive hand soap, buy it on sale, pair it with the foamer, get the scent you want for a really long time. This guy, you can probably refill about 5
Love that.
to one of these. So they are very economical when you use it that way for a more expensive hand soap. So that's my product of the week. The more you know. Do you use the foams and refill them?
I did not know. I didn't know. I guess I assumed I could, but I hadn't. So now that's a really good tip to use.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing that since the kids were little because I liked the foaming, because I would never rinse fully their hands.
Oh yeah, and then
so I remember when and then they go and it was my hands, and I'm like, or they'd be having to wash their hands forever, getting the soap off, and they had no patience, so they wouldn't want to wash their hands.
Oh yeah.
So I just found the foaming soaps to be much more ADHD friendly in general. And so if you can get a scent, this is just one of my favorites. I'll get the lemon it's always in the kitchen. So this is actually called kitchen lemon, but they'll have lemon, fall citrus, they call it different. They always change the name, but the smell is essentially the same. They just call it something different, whatever. Okay. So on to my tip for this week. That was kind of a tip. Maybe here's a bonus tip. So this is all about my ADHD friendly membership. I literally bullet pointed this. So I want you to hear this, because the membership is only $95 a month. If you join for a year at a time and pay the annual fee, you save 2 months of the fee. So you get 2 months free. It's $9.50 for the year, for all the content, all the on-demand courses, all of the live events, everything. And the reason I'm sharing this is because June is all about managing money with ADHD. I have wanted to do this topic for years. I always say I struggle in a lot of the ways that people with ADHD typically struggle with managing money. So this is not coming at you from someone that has all of the answers. And I'm the expert in money. I'm the expert in ADHD and the challenges tied to it and resources to help overcome them. But I am learning as much from the money segment that I'm offering in June as I hope my members will. And we're going to learn together and use accountability and body doubling, a lot of the support the membership offers to help us all to move forward in our financial goals. So here are some live events coming up in June. All of the events start at 12 Eastern on the day that they're offered. So I have a power hour body double on June 4th, all about money maintenance, where we're going to look at your statements. It's a lot of it's just body doubling, helping you find your logins to your account so you can go look at things online. Maybe you want to set up auto pay. You want to balance your account, whatever it is. We're just going to be body doubling for a power hour of action around money maintenance. Friday, June 6th is our first Friday webinar, and it's called Dollars and Dopamine. So it's all of the strategies around managing money and why it's so hard with ADHD to do it. On Wednesday, June 11th, I have my first workshop of June, and it's called Stop, Drop, and Don't Shop. It's how to manage those impulsive buying habits that we tend to have. Friday, June 13th, we have a power hour focused on personal owner's manuals, which we offer every month. Wednesday, June 18th, I have another power hour body double called Where Did It Go? It's all about tracking your spending. So how to keep track of where your money is going, much like what I've been doing in the podcast. The reason I share what I purchase is because it helps me to remember and hold myself accountable to where my money is going. And then on Wednesday, June 25th, I have our second workshop of the month called Budget budget-ish.
Ooh.
Budget can be a really heavy word for
Yeah.
people with ADHD. So it's all about making a money plan that works for your brain. I have a worksheet that goes with that called Budget-ish. It's a companion worksheet that will help you to pin down what is the approach that works best for your brain. So we're going to go through some of those criteria, notice what works for you, and hopefully identify what's more likely to work for you. Because if you try to do it the way that works for somebody else, if it doesn't work for you, that just is going to lead to more money frustration. We tend to get into this mindset of, well, I just can't. I've never been good at that. What we need to do to thrive with this is to realize we can if we do it our way. So it's all about finding what's your way. So that's why it's budget-ish. It's whatever it is for you. So we're going to pin that down and put some structure around it. There's also 2 on-demand lessons in June. One is on gamifying your savings, how to identify wants versus needs. And there's a worksheet that goes along with that as well. And then I have a buy now, regret later, taming impulsive spending. It's a lot of the challenges around our money have to do with that kind of money blind, time blind combination where we just aren't connecting to what our future self is going to be facing when we buy this today.
Yeah.
Like, well, I've got that money there, but we might forget that money was earmarked for something else. And now we've got this thing that it was very sparkly in the store, so much here. So just talking through those different pieces. And then there's also a quick quiz at the beginning of June. You can take it anytime, but it's up there for members to access in the beginning of June, all about what is your money personality. So it kind of highlights where you are typically more likely to spend money. All right, that's the tip. Join us at ADHD-friendly. Check it out. Go to ADHD-friendly.com for more information and to sign up so you can be a part of the month focused on money, and then everything else that we've done since January up until now and continuing into the summer semester. All right. Our topic for today is dollars and dopamine. I'm just going to share some ADHD-friendly tips for managing money when we have ADHD. So again, I'm not a money professional. I don't have any training or specific skill set to advise. I am not advising on money. I am offering some tips that other people have recommended that might be easier if you have ADHD to use with more success. So if you have ADHD, you probably have experienced some challenges around managing your money. And there are 5 things that are very commonly found. You may have one of these, you may have all of these, or you may have other things that get in the way, but these are the most common. The first is impulsive spending. So we really have that inability or that real difficulty connecting what we want right now with what do we really need and how is this supporting our future self. So we get a dopamine hit from spending, right? It's that, ooh, new sparkly novel. It activates our reward center. So we literally feel good in that moment, but then we have trouble delaying gratification. So if we see something, it's like, but I want it now. And it feels like I always have this experience when I go and I'm like, there might be something in my cart and I'm like, I didn't even know that existed 10 minutes ago and now I have to have it.
Right.
Like that's like always for me, like a pause point of how could I really have to have it if I never even knew it was a thing? And sometimes when I ask myself, some questions, I can put it back. Time blindness is another common challenge. So we forget due dates. We forget that there's going to be a consequence. So there's late fees, overdraft fees. Maybe we forget to pay something and our insurance lapse.
Oh yeah.
I've had a lot of clients have this happen, and it creates a lot more financial burden, kind of that ADHD tax coming on top of it. And it's really, really difficult. I've had clients have hundreds and thousands of dollars in late fees and overdue fees. The thousands are typically related to taxes if they weren't paid on time, all of the penalties, and they tend to compound. Like every day you're late, there's like a further, and it's so overwhelming. It's like, I can't think about it. It's like, it's already this big number. I don't know what it is, but what's the difference? It's going to be
right. Just that.
It's like they can't, it's like they can't even think about it and it keeps building, but it's like this, I don't know.
They don't see it. So it's like,
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
And so that leads to the third, which is shame around money. So there's a lot of shame tied to this. And I will tell you almost universally, even if money is a challenge for clients, they don't very rarely come in to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's this almost like this cultural, like, I'm an adult, I should know how to manage money.
Yeah.
And so I don't want anybody to know that I struggle with managing money. So we avoid looking at our bank and credit card statements because that feels overwhelming. It can be really hard to go back and see, because like I know like I have to do my business accounts for my bookkeeper every month. And so I have to go and confirm, was this a business expense? Did I buy something personal?
Yeah.
And I don't know what the charges are. So I have to go log into all these accounts and do it. If I didn't have to do that for my bookkeeper, I would not do it. Like I would not do it.
Right.
And so that accountability is really important, but it also helps me to see trends of in the moment. It's like, oh, yeah, like I know at the beginning of every month, I'm like, this is my goal. But then I forget, well, that wasn't realistic because like last month, for whatever reason, it wasn't January, it was May,
Yeah.
but I had all of these, I'm sorry, it was April. I had all of these renewals come up that I wasn't like annual renewals that I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting. So I'm like, okay, my card will not have a balance above this. And then I had 3 things renew that I was not expecting, like my Sam's, I have a professional business account.
Sure.
I don't remember that renews in April.
April.
And so I had 3 things like that renewed. And so I was out of my budget already. And that tends to lead to all or nothing think. Well, so I'm already over it. I didn't even spend anything and I'm
Right.
over it. So it feels like, why even bother? Because even when I'm trying, it can feel like things are undermining our efforts.
Yeah.
And then we often ignore problems instead of tackling them, which leads to the shame. So we definitely are not comfortable talking about it with others, especially I remember when I had my office in Raleigh, there was a CPA that rented an office upstairs and I was the only office downstairs and you had to walk past my door when you came in. And I had like these pocket doors and I would open them because it would get warm. I had this big bay window that sun, so it got really warm. You guys know I don't like the heat. So I would leave it open and he would always stop and chat with me. And he was very nice, but like nearing retirement age, like
Yeah.
older, kind of fixed money mindset. And he would talk about anonymously, like I wouldn't have any clue who he's talking about, but he would talk about these people coming in and they have been spending way beyond their means. And oh my gosh, they've got a stack of receipts with no order. And I just remember thinking, oh my God,
He's talking about
go
me.
away, move along.
Why does he see me?
It was like, but you could tell he was telling me like, you're responsible,
Right,
you're
like-
running a business, you get this.
You
And I was
know.
just like, please go, please stop talking to
He's
me.
gonna find
And so it would put me into this like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Wow, crazy that people do that, huh?
shame.
But and then sometimes maybe I could say, well, I have clients that struggle with that. That's an ADHD or try to, but at the same time, he had such like, yeah, no, this is beyond like this is people
Irresponsible.
just lazy.
Yeah.
And I was, okay, I'm not shifting your mindset and you're stressing me out. So I'd be like, okay, I have the door because I'm warm and you're like making me even hotter. So, and that leads to the 4th, which is disorganization. So there's piles of receipts, stacks of bills everywhere. If you're still getting physical bills in the mail, forgetting your login, forgetting where you wrote your login. This is almost always a challenge. We'll go to log in and we don't remember and we shut down. It's that whole process of, well, I don't know. And if I have to reset it, then is it going to reset on all my devices, or am I going to have to remember I reset it? And where am I going to write it this time? I'm going to remember it. How am I going to, it's just really a problem. And then subscriptions. There are many of us who sign up for subscriptions that are ongoing.
Guilty.
That we forget we even subscribe to. And this is really difficult if it's a once a year subscription. So if you sign up for my membership for once a year, I absolutely want you to put a reminder in your calendar before your year is up to check in. Do I want to renew for another year? Is this working for me? Is this worth whatever I'm paying? Not easy for us to do. Really, really challenging. So keep these things in mind. And again, not with shame, but with the exploration. What would work better for me? If anything I'm saying is resonating, I want you just to ask yourself, yeah, I do that. What would be one thing I could do that would make that easier? And see what comes up. And then the last of the 5 is all or nothing thinking. So kind of ties back to what I said before when I, had my goal and then I had these 3 renewals I wasn't expecting. My tendency is definitely like, well, it's over. There's no point. I can't make that goal. So instead of adjusting into this gray area, we stay in this, it was either this or this. And if it's not this, then whatever. And so having an opportunity to stop and say, okay, wait, what else is possible? So it might be, okay, let me add those 3 things to what my goal was and make that my new goal. Since these were unexpected and unplanned, like I shouldn't say unplanned because they certainly planned them. I just didn't plan for them. So it might be adding those 3 things that I think added up to like $350 to, let's say my goal was not to go above 500. So now I'd have an $850 goal for the month. That requires us to pause. It requires us to calculate and do mental math, or write it down and do math, to plan, right? All of those things. It requires effort. It requires us to stop and to do a little bit more work. We will resist that. So instead of all or nothing, we have to think, what's one thing I could do besides all or nothing to meet a little bit more in the middle. So it could be, instead of I blew my budget today, oh, well, I'll try again next month. And then we just keep going the rest of the month, like, whatever, whatever. That's all or nothing. We want to be like, okay, lost the reins a little bit, like with my plants. I went $50 over. That does not mean that it doesn't matter what I do the rest of the time. So like yesterday, this is like a small win. I went shopping with my daughter. She wanted me to go to Target with her. I was really resistant because I just came off the weekend of plants and flowers. And I was like, I don't need to spend any more money. But I know me, you get me in Target, or we went to Home Goods. And so I left my wallet at home. I had my ID. But I was like, I can either bring some cash if I want to, possibly, but I decided I didn't even want to bring cash. I didn't bring anything. And so I did pick up 2 pillows I was walking around with, trying to think like, I don't know, because they were on clearance, and then I scanned them and they weren't on clearance. It was easy. So I'm kind of glad, because I think if they were on clearance, I would have had to borrow money from her, but I didn't buy any. And I was really happy. So I'm a sucker for pillows. Especially like big chunky pillows.
If they're new fun, like spring ones.
No, they were just neutral, but I'm constantly like trying to replace pillows that I bought previously that aren't the right color or aren't the right size, or they haven't held up well with the dogs and they look crappy. But so I thought they were $9 each, but they weren't. No, the pillows are expensive. So I was like, never mind, because that's me for $9 each, and they were nice. They were like the 24-inch puffy. They were neutral, like a beige color, really nice. And but yet they had like a woven pattern, so they would, not necessarily like show every single mark on them. But no, they were not $9. So I left out buying a single thing, and that felt really good. All right. So here are some quick ADHD-friendly money strategies to consider when you are, again, we're trying to go from where you are with money to what your goal is, one step at a time. Not, I'm going to be here today or tomorrow. That's not realistic. We want to acknowledge what our patterns are that are getting in our way, and look for small steps we can take to start shifting that. So the first is to automate where possible. So a lot of us already do this, but if you aren't doing that yet, or maybe you're doing it, but not for as many things as you could, look at using your bill pay options with your bank to automate your payments. The other thing could be automatically transferring a set amount of money into the savings account. I think this is one of the things, even if you're paying everything, are you saving? That can be really, really hard. It can, it's like this money's there. That's how much money I have. We don't think that money is there. How much money can I put away? Or we might think, well, if I have any money at the end of the month, I'll put some away, instead of, no, I'm going to put this away now. So automatically saving takes the decision out of it. It's just gone. And that out of sight, out of mind can work for us in that area. So automatically transferring a certain amount of money into your savings each week or every payday, however you get paid, even if it's $5 or $10 every pay period, that will add up over time. One of my favorite things, and I don't know if banks still do this, but my credit union in Raleigh used to do this. I never joined, but I always wanted to, was the Christmas Savings Club, where you would join in January and you would put whatever amount you set aside. Like you'd have like a Christmas budget you set for yourself. And let's say it's like $100 a month, so that when the next December comes around, you have $1,200 to spend towards Christmas or whatever amount you wanted to put aside. I always thought $100 would be perfect if I could do that. I never did it, but I liked the idea of it.
Good idea.
And so really the tip here is let technology support your executive functions. So it's getting you out of deciding every single time. You decide once, you set it up, and it's automated. The second tip is to schedule a weekly money check-in. So this could be a check-in on your own, that you just have a process that you go, maybe you just log into your bank account. Maybe you just look at your credit card online, like what's being charged. Keep it fun and short. If you can do it with somebody else for accountability, that might be an even bigger bonus, or do it during a body double session. That's why I offer body double sessions, so we can intentionally come forward and do something together. I often have a theme around it. I always tell my participants, you can work on whatever you want, but I'm holding the structure and the focus around, in this instance, money maintenance. So it might be come in and set up your auto pays, come in and set up, find all of your passwords or reset all your passwords so you can get into everything and put it where you're going to know where it is so you can find it. And maybe you just need to, when you do your weekly check-in, name it something fun. So don't like put it on your calendar with a reminder, look at money or do budget or something. If that has a heaviness to it, I call mine money fun. And I just use the $ and the word fun. And I think it's money fun time. And it's not fun, I'm not gonna lie, but it feels more inviting than do your budget.
Budget time.
Balance your account. Yeah. So, or pair it with a reward, maybe something sparkly like playing some fun music or getting a special coffee that you are going to drink while you're looking at your money. Maybe you go to a coffee shop and sit and look at your account. I would say maybe not with their Wi-Fi. I've heard sketchy things about that.
Yeah.
Public Wi-Fi, maybe not the best thing if you're logging into your accounts.
Protect your login.
Yeah, don't do that. Okay, third tip. And final one is to make a sparkly savings tracker.
Ooh.
So make a savings tracker that helps you to set a goal and see it. Maybe a visual tracker like a thermometer or a progress bar. Color it, gives you that dopamine hit. You can see the progress, or give yourself little check boxes as you do it. Hang it where you'll see it. Visual progress tracker. So you want it insight in mind, ISM, ISIM, insight in mind. Maybe you hang it on the fridge. Keep it in your planner, your weekly or your daily planner, so you can see it, and pair it with a reward. You hit a goal, you get something sparkly. Doesn't have to cost money, but if that is a reward to you, maybe you identify, I save this much, I get to spend this. I save this much, I get this, to keep it sparkly. I made a tool to tap into. I've not shared this with my husband yet, but I made it for both of us, and I've started, and actually I haven't kept up with it because I forgot to talk to him about it. Have I mentioned the challenges of my brain? But now that I have it out, because I literally was looking for it the other day, I was like, I think I made it. I forgot I attached it to my podcast notes. So here it is. So I made this on Canva. So I made a side for him and a side for me. I put the month with a star for each day of the week. And I actually wrote in the days of each day of the month of May. So you can see I started coloring it in. And for me, my goal is to save $500. So I thought I'd talk to him and see, what would you like to try to save? We could kind of gamify it and see how are we each doing, and maybe see who can have a longer streak. So kind of two different things going on. How long can we go without spending money? Yeah. And besides like food and necessities.
Bills.
Yep. And then, without wants being spent. And then who is getting closer to their savings goal? I thought that'd be really sparkly. So here's what I've resisted a lot on this kind of thing is I don't want it hanging up for other people to see.
Yeah, where are you going to put them?
Back of the bathroom door in our bedroom.
Ooh, okay.
It could go on the back of the bedroom door.
Yeah.
Nobody's going in my room and shutting the door except him or I.
Yeah.
So it could be back of the closet door, back of the bathroom door, back of the bedroom door. Maybe if you have like a cabinet in your bathroom that you can put it on inside, somewhere you'd need to see it. For me, I think the place I'd be most likely to see it would be the back of the bathroom door, because I do shut the bathroom door every time and I will see it. Yep. So that's what I want you to think about, is where would you put it so you could see it. So I'm gonna leave mine on the side here because I still have to talk to him about it and see if this interests him, to gamify our making savings more visually interesting. And just to wrap it all up, succeeding with money and managing it with ADHD does require a lot of thoughtful intention. We can do it, but we have to keep the way our brain is wired in mind to succeed with it. So do it the way your brain works, and you will have more wins than you have. Join us for dollars and dopamine in June in the ADHD-friendly membership. If you want to tap into that content, again, $95 a month, $950 for the entire year. It's not just information, it's the structure to implement it. So join us if you need a little bit more of that in your life. Now for the book of the week. This was a really good read. I think I mentioned to you I was reading this. Did I tell you Amanda Knox wrote a book called Free,
Ooh,
My
no.
Search for Meaning? It's all about, you know who
She
Amanda
got
Knox is?
falsely arrested in Italy.
Yes, very good. Yes. Yes. So it's her story. She wrote a book previous to this that I had not read. I got an advanced copy of this from NetGalley. It came out on March 25th of this year. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I love when nonfiction books read like a novel, and this did. It kind of jumped back and forth between her time being in prison, and she like made like one of her best friends became like the prison priest,
Oh, wow.
who really helped her to see it as an opportunity that she was in prison. Like I found her like so enlightened. It was really shocking because I don't know anything about her.
Right.
And I remember being really confused about the whole thing because the way that it was always portrayed in the media was, well, she must have done something.
Right. Wasn't she like, they said she was acting funny, or the way
Yes,
she was
yeah,
acting
because she
about
wasn't
it?
crying when they arrested
It
her.
was her roommate?
It was her roommate that was murdered, and they accused her and a guy that she had been dating for literally like 2 weeks
Yeah.
of some kind of weird sexual play that went awry, and
Right.
she ended up being killed. And they had nothing to do with it.
Right. She didn't, but because the way she
Yeah.
responded.
Yep.
But I mean, you're in another country.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
feel like,
And she spoke Italian, but not fluently enough to really understand
what was happening.
And of course, they interrogated her like I forget, like 14 or 15 hours straight. So she was, and they were like, if you just sign this, we're on your side, all of this.
Exhausted.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was awful. So really, really well done. I want them because apparently they made a movie. I have not seen it, but they did make a movie that was not authorized by her.
Okay.
And apparently really, really kind of follows the media coverage of it, not what actually happened.
Yeah.
I really hope after reading this that she signs off on an actual movie that follows the real story of her experience, including her time in jail. I would watch that anytime. It was fascinating. So if that's the kind of book that interests you, Free, My Search for Meaning by Amanda Knox grabbed me from the start. And for a nonfiction book, really fast read. I tend to take much more time to read nonfiction than I do fiction, and this was super fast. So yeah, really good. And I got a quote from the book from Amanda Knox to share for my quote of the week. And it is, I refuse to let my life be defined by someone else's lies. Doesn't that give you chills?
Yes.
Everybody was lying about her and making her into this weird, like sex crazed person, like young, student. And she was just a really young adult in a foreign country who served I think it was 4 years in jail for something she didn't even do. She lost 4 years of her life, and I have to say, I don't think I would be that gracious about it.
Right. I feel like you have to be a little bit bitter at first.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, no, even while she was in jail, the places that she was able to get to of acceptance and how can I still make a difference in this life? And she didn't expect to get out. Like she was expecting to spend the majority of her adult life in prison, and still was trying to figure out, well, if this is what I'm doing, how can I make every day a day worth living? And I was like, you go, girl. Like if I'm like trying to figure out like, how is what I'm doing making any difference?
Yeah.
I have I'm free. I can go outside. I can do what I want to do when I want to do it. And she was like trying to do it with very, very, very restricted access to anything, and wrongfully accused and having people really believe the worst of her. So, and especially the girl's family, I think still blames her. They don't believe that she had nothing to do with it, which if you, I guess I could picture if all of these authorities are telling the family that she definitely was involved. She may not have like planned it, but she was absolutely involved in it. And it was her friend. It was her roommate. So she didn't even get to mourn the friend because she was so caught up in being accused of it. Yeah, it was awful. And then what her family went through too. So I love that she highlighted what she could empathize with the roommate's parents and family and how hard it must have been, even though she was the one being blamed, how hard it must be to lose their daughter, and what that horrible experience must have been, and even like what it was like for her family having no control over what happened to their own daughter.
Stuck.
And now she's a mom, and kind of having like like, I think she's a mom.
Yeah.
As I say that, I'm like, I've read so many books since I finished this. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I think she has kids of her own. I think she has two, but if I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
Wow, what a story though.
Really, really interesting. So I went on longer about that than I meant to, but yeah, it was really good. So I will be updating in the future about my raised beds and how they're doing. I'm gonna put these in my super
Yeah.
journal. I'm gonna pull them out and add them to that, because it is very, very, very feeling rewarding to me, even though I spent a little more than I intended. I learned as I went through it. We do what we can and we move on. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. Until next time, Kelly, ho.